Hi everyone. I wanted to talk about diaphragmatic breathing. Diaphragmatic breathing. The diaphragm is the muscle of respiration. The way we are designed is that when we are in an upright position, standing, or even lying, the diaphragm is the major muscle of respiration, not any what we call accessory muscles. And so there's many ways of breathing. We could actually breathe up in our collarbones by using these muscles of our neck to lift our rib cage. But when we do that, it's highly dysfunctional. These muscles will get fatigued, and because of their innervation, at least the sternocleidomastoid, that's the one that comes from the back of the mastoid down to the collarbone, down to the sternum, when that's being used, or the trapezius muscles are being used to lift the rib cage in order to expand the rib cage so the air can actually go in, we're fatiguing these, and these muscles, SCM, sternocleidomastoid, and the traps, are linked to our vagus nerve. And that can cause a lot of neurological dysregulation. So we don't want those muscles to be used for breathing. We want the diaphragm to be the major muscle of respiration. So the diaphragm is a dome-shaped muscle that's right under the ribs. It's like an umbrella. Now, there's two ways to move this diaphragm, which I'm going to explain in a minute. But think about it. The central tendon at the top of the diaphragm doesn't really have much contraction here. It's on the sides. So the dome-shaped muscle comes up underneath those ribs, and the attachments are along the ribs and the lumbar spine. So the diaphragm is innervated by the phrenic nerve, and when that gets innervated, that dome-shaped muscle is going to move. It can either, the central tendon can either go down into the abdominal cavity, and hence you're going to watch, see? Now I'm exaggerating this. The abdomen moves, not just in the front, but also in the sides and the back, and that's actually going to depend on your postural alignment and your spine. Now, if you have certain conditions like scoliosis, or if your rib might be out of alignment, if you have certain muscle contraction in certain areas, and you're not able to sit up, if the pelvic bowl is tilted, then this isn't going to move as efficiently. So that's another video where we talk about posture. But what I'm going to ask you to do is to get the diaphragm, allow the diaphragm to go into the abdominal cavity. So one way to do this, what I found over the years, is an exercise called arms over the head. You interlace your fingers, push your palms out, and then bring them over your head. Now, some people raise their shoulders up like this. I'm going to ask you to drop your shoulders and imagine your collarbones are long and wide. Take your arms out. Now, if it's too much, you can't straighten your elbows. And they don't have to be right over your head. They can be forward a little bit. But if you can't straighten your elbows, you can always grab your elbows. And if this is too much, you don't have to do this exercise. But you just palms up and drop your shoulders. Now, when this part is locked, what will happen is the abdominal contents tends to move. So, I'm not arching my back. I'm trying to have a neutral pelvis. Drop my shoulders. Now, I'm over-exaggerating my breath here. I'm going to invite you to just breathe in a nice, relaxed way, and see if you can feel the abdominal contents move. Now, this is an exercise I give to everyone. One way to breathe abdominally, or diaphragmatically, is to have the abdomen move, where the central tendon drops down into the abdominal cavity, and there's that expansion. Now, some people who see me find that they can't even get that movement to occur. So I'd like to start with this. So the home practice is to bring the arms overhead, drop the shoulders, let the collarbones be wide, relax your face and your jaw. Don't bring your head too far forward. Let the shoulder blades slide down the back. Don't arch your ribs forward. And then breathe into the abdomen. And I'm exaggerating each of these. I invite you to do this for about 7 breaths. The goal here is to make this become easy and effortless. So after about 7 breaths, lower your arms You can bring one hand to your chest and one to your belly. And see if you can maintain that movement. Now, if you begin to lose that, if you feel like you can't feel that movement anymore, go back to arms overhead. And I recommend people do this for about 10 to 15 minutes so that they can really get the somatic, visceral sense of diaphragmatic movement in the abdomen. As I said, this might not be easy for you to do. Another way of breathing diaphragmatically is where the central tendon stays right where it is, but the attachments move. Now, when the attachments move, that means our rib cage is going to move and our abdomen isn't going to move as much. Now, to do this, I do the kidney squeeze. I bring my hands to the sides of my kidneys, and I have my hand all around my ribs. I'm actually squeezing into my ribs. So I drop the shoulders. There's a tendency to raise our shoulders or curl them in. I'm asking us to be wide and long with our collarbones. Shoulders down, feel like the rib cage is down. We're not jutting forward. And then I squeeze. I bring my hands together. I'm not worried about breaking a rib. And then when I breathe in, I breathe into my hands. Now, I'd really like the breath to be silent, but I know I'm making some sound just so you can hear and identify that. This is still a diaphragmatic movement. Notice that my chest doesn't move. And that's diaphragmatic breathing, where the central tendon stays fixed and the attachments are mobile. And just like with the arms overhead, I would like you to perfect both of these so that you can do them at ease and at will. So I recommend doing 7 of these. Slow, easy breaths. And then after you do that, can you drop your arms and keep that going? Can you do that silently as well? Now, if either of those don't work, you can also bring your hands behind you. Now, you can grab your elbows, or you can do a yoga mudra where you have your hands, turn the palms up. Now, when I have my hands with my palms up, I push my pinkies into my spine and roll my shoulders back. Now, that has a tendency to push my ribs forward, and I don't want to do that. I want to bring my ribs back, but I want to keep opening the chest. And in this movement, I can breathe in the belly as well. Now, I don't have to have my palms together. I can always grab my elbows, or you can even just grab your chair. Now, that wasn't quite it. In the belly. I'm exaggerating the sound and the movement for you to see. I'd like to do this slowly so that when I can come back to this position, I can breathe effortlessly, slowly, and in the abdomen. Or I can breathe effortlessly and slowly in the rib cage. So regardless, I invite you to practice this, breathing diaphragmatically where the chest is not moving, either breathing in the belly and or both actually really, and the kidneys, so that you can get a sense of that. Thank you.